So what I really wanted to do now is tell you a bit about the Orchard registry, okay? And then we will go into a session where we'll be asking you what you think are important topics for research and all that, but also give you an opportunity to ask questions to all the people who have presented today. So we have two mics, and so I'll be bringing those around. So a bit about the registry. Why is the registry important? So when we set up Orchard in 2017, one of the first things we did was actually do a roundtable where we invited some researchers and scientists and all that to ask them what challenges were they facing, okay, for research, okay. And we thought that was really important because one of the things we're trying to do with Orchard is to kind of build the whole ecosystem. You know, so we heard today about all the research, we heard about the importance of co-production and all that. And what we wanted to identify, what are the barriers which are really impeding research? And out of that, one of the really first things that came up, which is exactly what Tobias said today on the panel, is finding people with lived experience who are willing to join and be participants in the research is a real struggle. You know, and that's generally across the board. The only study where I think that hasn't been a problem has been the psilocybin study, you know, where they were recruiting, I think it was 16 patients, and I think that 300 people applied, you know, so that was the complete opposite.
19 patients, 1,000 people applied.
Oh, right, okay. Yes. I think out of those 1,000, though, not all of them had OCD. So that is really the exception, but I think otherwise across the board it is quite difficult to recruit people with OCD into studies, and this can be questionnaire studies or clinical studies or, you know, all kinds of studies. So what we thought about was setting up a registry, you know. So what you'll know about a registry, it's basically a database, you know, and we set this up with the University of Hertfordshire, so it's all completely GDPR, confidentiality compliant, absolutely everything. And really it's very simple. As someone with OCD, you register and it asks you just some basic questions about your OCD, how long you've had it, what treatments you're on and all that. And then it asks you what kind of studies you'd be interested in participating in. You know, and then what happens is then clinicians and scientists and researchers, and that can be academics, it can be, you know, people from the NHS, or it can be industry. For instance, Biohaven, for instance, registered on this and all that. We then match the people living with, you know, with OCD, and we match those to the study basically, and then they, you know, they can join the study and all that. So we only obviously have studies that have got ethics approval and all that kind of stuff on there. But I'll take you through it very briefly. So, you know, you can access it via the orchardocdregistry.org website, okay? And then it's very simple, you know, you kind of register and then it asks you a whole bunch of questions and all that kind of stuff, you know. And I think we have several hundred people now actually on there. So here are examples of the projects on the registry. One was investigating the efficacy of median nerve stimulation for ADHD, OCD, anxiety symptoms. Another one was daily predictors of distress and contamination fears. We've had a smartphone app, exposure response prevention in silico, okay. We had triluzole, which is the Biohaven study, enhanced habit system, and also the psilocybin study. I think now we've had about 14 or 15 studies on there and all that. And we've heard from a number of researchers who said the registry has really helped them actually meet their targets and stuff. So we think this is really important because what we want to do is just accelerate, accelerate the development of research and get people really involved. And I know from speaking to, from myself, I mean, there's Professor Robbins talked about some of the studies they've done in Cambridge. I was actually part of them, like the one that gave little electric shocks and stuff like that. And it was really important for me at the time to be part of these studies because I was suffering very severely from OCD. And I wanted to make some kind of sense out of this suffering. I wanted people to learn things out of this suffering and all that. And so actually to be a participant in these studies was really important, And then after that, they shared the papers and all that kind of stuff. So I personally found that very important. And obviously, if you're participating in an actual clinical study, well, then you're advancing, potential development of treatments and stuff. So that's the registry, So we're trying to promote that as much as possible. I think soon it's going to go, because at the moment it's been just for the UK, but we're going to try and make that go global because, we want to help research around the world, basically.